Hello, my name is Olivia Wann and I'm with Modern Practice Solutions. There's been quite a buzz about OSHA's new emergency temporary standard for the COVID vaccines. This is referred to as ETS. Anytime OSHA passes an emergency temporary standard, it is a standard that has been passed through because of grave danger and not permitted for public comment. You may have heard that this standard would require employers with 100 or more employees to implement mandatory vaccines, and for those who decline, mandatory weekly testing. To come up with the number of 100 employees would combine part-time people, full-time people, seasonal workers, even multi-site locations. So we can see that this would affect dentistry, particularly for the dental service organizations. Right now, the U.S. Court of Appeals, Fifth Circuit, granted a motion to stay OSHA's vaccination and testing requirement. The court ordered that OSHA take no steps to implement or enforce the emergency temporary standard until further court order. We can look to the OSHA.gov website relevant to the vaccine as well as the EEOC for additional information. We want you to be prepared because if it does end up going through, then you will need to quickly scramble to get into compliance. Some of the questions that we have been getting is that, are the employers required to cover the cost associated with COVID testing? And according to OSHA, the answer is no. The emergency temporary standard does not require employers to pay for any costs associated with testing. However, employer payment for testing may be required by other laws, regulations, or collective bargaining agreements. So we have to look to our state laws to be specific. OSHA notes that the emergency temporary standard does not prohibit the employer from paying for costs associated with testing required by the ETS. Otherwise, the agency leaves the decision on who pays for the testing to the employer. Another issue that's come up is about sincerely held religious beliefs. What does that mean? Because people can easily pull the sincerely held religious belief aspect of declining a COVID vaccine. And so for this one, we look to the EEOC for guidance. And if you refer to the COVID FAQs, L number 2, does an employer have to accept an employee's assertion of a religious objection to the COVID-19 vaccination at face value? And may the employer ask for additional information? So the EEOC explains that generally under Title VII, an employer should assume that a request for a religious accommodation is based on sincerely held religious beliefs. However, if there is an objective basis for questioning either the religious nature of a particular belief or the sincerity of that belief, the employer would be justified in making a limited factual inquiry and seeking additional information. But keep in mind that it's such a broad term because it's not like you have to attend a particular church or have a certain belief system, because it could encompass a religious belief that that person is indicating. So the sincerity of an employee's stated religious belief is not usually in dispute. The employee's sincerity in holding a religious belief is largely a matter of individual credibility. And so, folks, it gets really difficult in trying to juggle EEOC, OSHA, and all of these different regulatory bodies and making sure that we do not violate any of these rules in an employment setting. So the purpose of this video is just to caution you that there is a temporary stay on OSHA's emergency ETS relevant to the mandatory vaccines and testing, but please pay close attention because if this does end up passing through on a federal level, then we will need to get into compliance quickly. So we hope to keep you informed and we appreciate you looking to us to give you information. Thank you.